got an SEC filing, you better do it or you're going to be in trouble, right? You don't have any negotiation room around that. We found that they spent about 1 to 2, as high as 5% of their time in quadrant 2, 60 to 70% of their time in quadrant 3, and 10 to 20% of their time in quadrant 4. Isn't that interesting? You teach me. You've been through the 7 habits. What is the #1 key to effective time management? Okay, scheduling your priorities, that's part of it. Okay, put first things first. Well said. I love the title. We should use that. What else? Say no to those activities that are not important. If you're a consultant and you're working with one of these organizations, they're saying, I just don't have time. How would you advise them? What would you tell them to get out of? Get out of quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. Okay? You can't get out of quadrant 1. If you ignore quadrant 2, what happens to quadrant 1? If you choose to never go to the dentist, what's going to happen to you? You're going to have some quadrant 1 activities you need to take care of, right? And it's going to be very unpleasant. But if you spend your time in quadrant 2, say yes to quadrant 2, you'll find your quadrant 1 activities get lower and lower and lower. This is the #1 as your consultants and leaders out there in the marketplace and in industry and wherever else you're working. Say no to quadrant 3 and quadrant 4 and yes to quadrant 2. You think it sounds so simple, it's counterintuitive. Let me go back to the 3 questions. Those things that would have the most positive impact, dramatic difference for good in your life, why are we not doing them? Not all. Maybe money is an issue. But in most cases, it's simply a matter of priority. And having the ability to live our priorities, of doing those things that we know are most important, that we know will have the biggest return. All right. Well, let me introduce the second concept here of the concept of that you are the one that identifies your values and living by those values by introducing a short video. Again, those of you who've been through the 7 habits have seen this. I debated whether I was going to show this or do something else, and I finally decided to show this because I think it is valuable in going back and revisiting. Raise of hands, how many of you have written a personal mission statement? I talked to Dr. Jackson, and that's one of the things that you do here and you do consistently, right? What was that process like? Was it easy? How many of you are goal-oriented? How many of you had the reaction that I did when I first heard this? Well, I think about goals all the time. I constantly think about goals. I don't need to write them down. Anyone have that reaction? Okay. What did you find then when you started to write down your goals? Started to write down your mission and your values? Was it as easy as you thought? Maybe in some cases it was. For me, this process of clarification was hard work. It was really hard work. I found that writing it and then letting it rest for a little while and then coming back and revisiting it was a very, very powerful process. Okay? So as you watch this short video, I would like you to think about your own personal mission. What is your purpose here? What is your unique contribution? What is it that you stand for? What is it that is meaningful to you? And then after this, we'll do a very short exercise to kind of help you reconnect to the work that you have done before. Okay? 80th birthday.
In your mind's eye, picture your 80th birthday.
I'm not in your way, am I?
Picture the faces of your friends and family as they come to wish you well. All these people have come to honor you, to express their feelings, to toast a life well spent. Imagine you are the person being honored, the subject of the speeches. What would you like the speaker to say about you, your life?
Change a bit.
What would you like them to say about your character and contributions?
Frank is the most honest man I've ever known. He's been a great colleague. and a wonderful friend. Happy birthday, Frank.
Now think deeply.
Thank you all.
What achievements would you want them to remember?
I'd like to.
What impact would you have liked to have made in their lives?
It's a special day for you. I don't know how come I'm such a lucky girl. Thank you, Dad. Hope you have a great birthday. I love you, Dad.
Start living today with that picture of your own 80th birthday party clearly in mind. In that picture, you will find your definition of true success. I have found that it is extremely helpful to write down what you truly desire inside a personal mission statement. In that written mission statement, you clarify for yourself what ends you serve, what you want to be, your character, what you want to do with your life, your contributions and achievements. Your mission statement is like a personal constitution. It's the basis for making major life-directing decisions, as well as smaller daily choices in the midst of all of the ups and downs of life. Mission statements come in all forms and shapes. It doesn't matter what form it's in, as long as it uniquely expresses you. Some come in the form of a poem or a collage of pictures. Some are long, others might be shorter. My own personal mission statement is only 3 words long. Code words, really. But to me, every single word is charged with very special private meaning. A mission statement is not something you write overnight. It may take several rewrites, but you don't let that stop you. Several years ago, I remember thinking deeply about my own mission statement, one that I had developed many, many years before. I was sitting alone on the beach at the end of a bicycle ride. I took out my mission statement and I really thought about it very, very deeply. It took several hours, but at the end, you can't imagine how I felt such a sense of clarity, such a sense of renewed commitment, such a sense of exhilaration and freedom. Once again, I knew what my life was all about. Viktor Frankl says, we detect rather than invent our missions in life. I like that choice of words. Detect rather than invent. You see, defining our mission really requires thinking through our deepest desires, our dreams, our sense of responsibility, our most intimate and satisfying relationships. Our meaning comes from within, from down deep within ourselves. A friend told me of a young university student he encountered. He said that he was majoring in civil engineering, but didn't seem too excited about it. Aware of his colleagues' boredom, he asked him a simple question.
Okay, I got a question for you. All right, let's say you have all the time in the world, unlimited resources, money's not even an issue. What are you gonna do with it?
Buy a table saw.
Table saw.
Yeah, and a planer. I'd set up shop in my garage and get all the kids in the neighborhood together and build stuff. You know, tables, chairs, birdhouses,
And then what? Do you sell it or?
maybe. You just build stuff.
Hold on, if that's what you want to do, what are you doing taking 4 hours of structural analysis?
You know, it's a degree. Pays the bills eventually.
You know, you can actually get paid for teaching kids how to build things. Have you ever thought of pursuing that?
It was obvious that the student's decision to major in engineering was not the result of a deep interconnection with his own talents and dreams. But you know, when he touched that connection, that moment of realization, he suddenly saw the possibility of fulfilling his own uniqueness. He became totally energized. It was easy to see that he would be an incredible woodshop instructor. And with his love for teaching and woodworking, he would make a phenomenal difference.